To make pickled hard-boiled eggs is very, very simple. There are just a few little ingredients you put in based upon what flavor profile you want. I'm going to be doing a dozen eggs. These were previously hard-boiled, and the technique that I use is to first take the eggs and put them in the bottom of a pot that has a flat bottom, put cold water or room temperature water in there, and put the eggs in. You have to have the water level at least maybe an inch above the eggs. And then you bring that water to a boil, a rolling boil, and then you count 3 minutes from the time that it does the rolling boil. After that 3 minutes, turn the fire off and let the eggs sit in that water for anywhere between 5 and 15 minutes, depending upon how hard boiled you want it. 5 minutes is going to get you a runny yolk. 15 is going to get you a hard yolk. Then once you've got through that 15 minutes, then you take it and you put it in a pot or some container with cold water and ice. And then from there, then you wait until it cools off some, and then they are going to be easily peeled, and you're going to have yellow yolks all the way through, no green. I have a video on how to do this, and I'm going to put that link to that video in my description. The ingredients for making this pickled eggs is that I have to make a brine. So I've got 1 cup of water. I've got 1 cup of distilled white vinegar, and you can use apple cider vinegar if you want. That would work just as well. And to that, to make a pickling brine, I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of salt and 2 tablespoons of sugar. Stir that a bit. Now I made my own pickling mixture, and what I have in here is 2 tablespoons of mustard, 1 tablespoon of allspice, 2 teaspoons of coriander seeds, 1 teaspoon of red pepper flakes. I've got 1 tablespoon of juniper berries, 2 teaspoons of black pepper, and 2 teaspoons of dill seed. And I mix that all in the bowl, in the container. I'm not going to use all of that in my pickled eggs. I'm just going to take 1 tablespoon of that mixture, and I'm going to put that in my vinegar, water, salt, and sugar mixture. We're going to head on over to the stove, and we're going to bring this to a boil. Then we're going to cut it down to a simmer for about 5 minutes, and that's just to get these seeds and things to sort of break loose and release some of their flavor. In addition, once this is cooled off some, I'm going to be adding some red onion, a clove of garlic, and 1 bay leaf to the jar with the eggs, and then the pickling solution put over that. Let's go boil this water. My brine boiled, and then I simmered it for about 5 minutes. And now I'm letting it cool down before I put the eggs in the jar with it. I just want to make a comment also on what flavorings and spices you put in these eggs. It's all up to you. It's your show based upon what you like. The brine concentration of water to vinegar, salt, and sugar is the only thing that is sort of like fine-tuned for a pickling brine. But if you don't like coriander, don't put it in. If you don't like allspice, don't put it in. If you don't like dill seed, don't put it in. If you don't like onions, don't put it in. If you don't like bay leaves, don't put it in. Same goes for your garlic. If there are other herbs and things that you think would go better with it to your taste, you may add them. If you want some color, you can add something like turmeric, and that'll give it a yellowish hue. If you want a color like a red, then you add something like beet juice or beets themselves. In addition, the red onion is going to give it a very slight red hue. It's going to be very, very slight, not that big, because there's not that many red onions going into this. But it's up to you. The other thing, I mentioned that you have a certain ratio of salt, sugar, vinegar, and water. However, if you don't want that much salt in your brine, cut it down to 1 tablespoon. Or if you don't want it to have that sweetness, cut down that sugar a little bit to 1 tablespoon. It's up to you. I'm going to start out by adding a few of my onions in the bottom, my garlic, and the bay leaf. Then I'll start adding some of the eggs. And we're going to do sort of like a layering effect. A few more onions. More of the eggs. And a dozen eggs can fit in this quart jar. And 2 cups of liquid will also fit. You just want to make sure that whatever you put in here will be underneath the liquid so that it's not exposed at the top without any of the brining solution. That's the start. My brine solution has cooled down enough where I can now add it to the jars. And to facilitate that, I've got a funnel that I use in canning. And I'm going to put that over the top so that it'll make it easier for me to get this solution in this quart jar. And we'll just go and slowly pour it, because we want it to find its way down all the nooks and crannies of these eggs. And we've got a little less than 2 cups of that brine solution in there. I'm going to sort of knock around these eggs some so that if there are any air pockets in there, and I see a few bubbles coming to the top. I'm not doing anything to squish the eggs. I'm going down the edges just to evenly get them, to get that solution down in there. Then I'm going to take some of these seeds that are in there and try to get them into my jar so that I have more flavor going on in there. Get that little egg to stay down there, because we want to make sure it gets all flavor all up in it also. And we'll just take our white mouth, well, first before I do that, let's wipe off the top. I'm not canning this, so it doesn't matter if it's anything on there, but just to have a clean jar. And then we'll tighten that up. And there we have it, the developing pickled eggs. And what I also do when I make this is I put a little label on it, and that's just so that hubby will know that he can't eat these for a week. So I prepared them today, and he can't have them until 7 days later. And I put that on the top of the jar so it's very evident. Thank you very much for joining me in this pickled egg adventure. And I hope you'll try some of this just for preserving some of your produce and things that are in your refrigerator. This makes a great snack. Get a little hungry and just want something real quick, go in there, pull out an egg. If you want to make something like deviled eggs, you can pull them out and make deviled eggs. They'll have sort of like a pickled type flavor to them. Or just a quick little addition to a sandwich to slice it up, or to a salad. Take care. This is Sylvie Curry, Lady of Kid.